So that should be twice as thick, and it should have fibres on this side and this side. Oh, look at it, there's only like pieces left. There's nothing left on that side. Oh, look at that poor plate. That's where it normally sits, and look at this. You shouldn't have any movement there, that should be tight. So here she is, back at the workshop, ready for a clean and a strip down and a complete rebuild. Let the games begin.
Well, today I wasn't with Magnus.
No, busy working.
He was on the boat doing this job. So here it is in all of its glory. It's back at the farm. I love the, do you want to just tell us about this, darling? Tell us about that.
This is Egyptian 700 count cotton from a resort at Hamilton Island that they were throwing out. And we got a few sheets, and it was years ago, like 15 years ago. So I'm just now using them as rags. Got them for like $1 each.
Yeah, they make good rags.
Yeah, so Gearbox, I've separated the reduction unit here. From the gearbox, separated the adapter plate, taken the rear engine mounts off, the gearbox mounts. So now I'm going to remove I've taken all the bolts out. I'm going to remove the oil pump housing is the next thing to come off. Oh, sorry, next thing to come off is actually the selector shaft bits and pieces, then the oil pump. Then all the other ancillary stuff, I'll pull the clutch plates out and inspect it. See what's broken. And as you see with the paint pen, I've marked where they coincide. I also always put a V on the topmost part of everything. So here is the topmost. As you can see on this one, I've already marked it here. That's the topmost part of the adapter plate. So as everything comes off, I mark it. Now the reduction unit only goes on one way, so that doesn't need marking. So we'll lift this off, and this is our oil pump assembly. There you go, you can see the gears, and that's what gives us pressure to lubricate the system and also to provide pressure to change from forward to reverse to neutral is our oil pump assembly. So I'm going to take that off. There's a small machined little piece here that slides on the shaft, which is where the oil lip seal runs. So that comes off. Then this gear is it's on a keyway. That comes out, and then we can take this assembly off, slide it off the main shaft. Even though this oil seal is in really good condition, well, it's not because the spring's just fallen off, but it is in good nick, I'm going to replace it. I'll replace this O-ring seal that goes right around the circumference of this plate, because over time they get hard. And even though this one feels quite malleable, they do get hard and they lose their efficiency. So they stretch, as you can see here, it doesn't seat down properly. So we'll replace that as well. We'll replace all the seals as we go through it. There was one of these on here that the seal runs on, but that's a little bit worn. So I'm going to replace that. Next thing to do is to separate this from this. So that's the next move. You've got 4 special bolts to undo. You've got this fella, there's one in there that I've taken out. You've got the one that goes in there and the one that goes there. Now they're a special head on them like this. I didn't have that particular socket, which I'm going to buy in the next few days. So you can tap on a 10mm just loosely. They come out quite easily. So Little tip, 10mm fits over the top, but I am going to get the correct spanner or socket. So now this section is loose, as you can see. So I'm just going to lift that off and expose the clutch plates. So there you go, I've lifted it off. That's the top bit. It's got a needle bearing in there, which I've checked and it feels beautiful. And looking at the shaft, it hasn't been wearing badly. It's wearing quite nicely on the shaft, that needle bearing. And this is where all your clutch packs reside. So I think the first thing we've got to do is get this clip out here, which is a retaining clip for this bearing. And then we can start to slide things apart and find the problem. You can see here where the last guy who serviced this had fun getting this bearing in. He's been bashing and bashing and bashing there. Look at that. I would say that was done by a backyard bodgie. What do you call them in other parts of the world? Cowboy, whatever. The cowboy's not really good because cowboys are nice people. But yeah, that's a bit of a bash. That's not how you put them on. So this is one of our reverse friction plates, and she's pretty worn. It should, see that crisscross there? It should be crisscross like that all the way along. But as you can see here, it's worn right through all the friction stuff, right down to bare metal. And around here, she comes good again, and she's worn again, and she comes good again. And if we flip it over, you can see that she's pretty well worn right through to metal all the way around. A little bit of friction stuff here. I don't know what you call it, but I call it friction stuff. But as you come around here, it's worn right through to the metal. That's metal there. So it wouldn't be long before our reverse was to give up as well. So it's a timely rebuild. As I pull all the pieces off, I always lay them out in order. So they're all facing the way they came out. So up is in, if you like. And I always like to lay them out on 700 thread count Egyptian cotton because it makes them feel good. Now I've tried to get this little spring clip out here on the bearing for half an hour because the right tool is on the boat, and what we actually need is the opposite of what I've got in the workshop. So it closes when you squeeze. I want open when you squeeze. So that tool is on the boat. So I gave it an hour and I still haven't got the little blighter off. So it's dinner time. Wendy's cooked a nice biryani. So I'm putting this to bed for the night and we'll start again in the morning. This retaining clip sits in there that holds the shaft from sliding through the bearing. So the next job is to lift out this assembly, the ring gear assembly, and underneath here we should find our clutches, our clutch pack. So that just should come out like so. Doing it all one-handed. Now we give that a gentle tap on the bench and we should expose the clutch pack under here. That's the next step. There it goes. Again, doing this one-handed. So we lift that out and just quickly check that. Yeah, that all looks good to the untrained eye. And in here we should find, there they are. Right, looks like they come out the other side of this arrangement because that's got to come off. So, looks like we have to, right, remove this retainer here, this clip, lift this assembly out, and then we'll get to the clutch pack. So So we'll investigate a bit further and we'll get in there. Using my engineering vise as a press, I managed to separate these two, which now exposes, look at that, it's got gunk everywhere, which now exposes the spring plate here, and well, that goes that way, so it goes that way, and our clutch basket. Clutch basket here, so I'm just going to take off this spring retaining clip and I should get the clutches out and be able to check them out. That's our retaining clip. So it goes between the first backing clutch plate, pressure plate, and the spring plate. So we'll take out that. Oh, there's bits of, see there? That's bits of fibre. They shouldn't be there. Oh, that's horrible. This is our first fibre plate, and look at it. There is just metal left. Where's my magnet? Yeah, that's sticking to it as if it's just a metal plate. So that should be twice as thick, and it should have fibres on this side and this side. It's just got some remnants of fibre left. So let's check, this is our first steel plate. Minimal scoring. If you've got any big scores in here, or divots, as we've got some small divots there, then you've got problems. But there's some more pressure plate, some more fibres. So that one's no good. Oh, look at it, there's only like pieces left. There's nothing left on that side. Check our next plate, which has also got some pretty severe scoring and bits, and look at all this. That's disgusting. Oh, look at that poor plate. There's nothing left on that side. Another one. Lucky last. Usually your last plate on the facing, the part that faces the backing plate has got fibres on it, and that's usually not as bad. As you can see here, we've still got fibres. They're worn down to nothing, but there are still fibres left, and this is pretty badly pitted and scored. You could reuse these. I wouldn't. You can definitely not reuse these. And then we look at this is our ring gear, our basket. Just take the last one out. This is the one piece that moves the drive from this to this, right? So usually you're looking for wear on the teeth here. But that looks pretty good. No major scoring anywhere. So, whoops, that way around. So he's happy. And we also just checked this, and it looks good as gold. Just needs a good clean up, and we're laughing. All right, and that drives here. That drives this shaft. That shaft goes in that way. So it drives that shaft through this reduction. And you also check this thrust plate for wear. That looks all right. So that sits in there. And another thing you've got to check are these little rings, and when you reassemble it you have your gaps opposites, but anyway we'll do that when we reassemble it. Apart from these plates, pretty well knackered, and I'll replace this spring plate as well, because you can see the wear in here, usually on both sides. Yep, that shouldn't have that wear on it. And this looks absolutely perfect. This wears, so I might just replace that as well. And the bearing I took out, no real scoring, feels like it's brand new, zero play in it, might just replace it. So that's our gearbox, the rear plates are down here. They've also got wear in them. So they'll need to be replaced as well. and maybe this needle bearing, even though it feels like new, I might just pop a new one in. So now all that's left to be done is get on the internet, order a heap of parts. I'll buy a complete seal kit for it, gasket kit, bearing kit, clutch kit. I'll go through, remove the selector shaft. I'll check the reduction box, replace any bearings that need replacing, any seals that need replacing. So it'll be, and then I'll give it the old yellow paint. So we'll have a fully rebuilt gearbox in about a week, hopefully, depending on when the parts can get out. And another thing I've got to replace is this, which is the, I don't know if it's original, it might have been put in aftermarket. It's what the oil seal, the main forward oil seal runs on. I think it is aftermarket. Because of the minor scoring on here, someone has replaced the, put this on just to give it a better surface to ride on. But to get these off, they're in interference fit. Interference fit meaning they're very, very tight, and you heat this up, it's cherry red, just drop it on to where it has to go, and then let it cool, and it attaches itself. So I don't like to reuse them, but looks like it's been used twice, moved up, I don't know. There's only one edge you should be riding on, because there's only one seal in here. So that's very strange. But anyway, the other thing is the Woodruff key. Looks fine. That was pretty tight to get in and get out, and there's no wear on it. So that's all right. So, now, surprisingly, the engine mounts, we never had any vibration. But that's where it normally sits. And look at this. You shouldn't have any movement there, that should be tight. So I'll replace all 4 engine mounts because the rubber here perishes over time and they could let go any time. And all this movement has worn the thread on this, so I can't actually get that bolt up any higher anyway. Well, this one lower to lock that off. And they're both like that. That one's even worse. I never noticed it on the boat. Never ever noticed that. And they're pretty well knackered. They're going to snap any time. I know when free range sailing, Troy on free range sailing replaced his, they were actually snapped right through there. They were just being held on by nothing. So, but they can go at any time. So while I got it out, definitely replace them. And that's it. Time to order parts and get on with cleaning it and then reassemble it when the parts arrive.